Metrorail says it suspects human error could be responsible for yesterday's train accident. More than 100 people were injured when two trains collided at the Elof extension in Selby, south of Johannesburg. For more on this, we are joined by ENCA's Malungelo Boy, who's been following up on that story. So it's been a good 24 hours, Malungelo. Yesterday, Metrorail were quick off the blocks to say, actually, we suspect human error, and this has to do with the system of authorization they were using. How is that, being received by other stakeholders?
Well, it's quite interesting because the unions are quite angry at Metrorail, blaming everything on human error. Actually, they're saying that it's an excuse that PRASA and Metrorail always make when there are problems. And of course, they're saying that that excuse makes them to fail to deal with the real problems that are taking place with the rail in this country. But of course, let's understand what exactly is this manual authorization. I asked one of the unions to explain that to us.
Manual authorizations is if you've got a train control officer sitting in one office and a train control officer sitting in another office. Both of them issue train drivers in different trains and say, yes, it's safe, you can continue on the route. Unfortunately, you don't have the benefit of the electronic signaling system indicating where the trains are, because that's off. So you've got people running the system, and obviously with that comes human error, and that's when these type of collisions happen. The Elandsfontein Coalition in June 2017, where also 55 people were injured, was the same thing, manual authorization, as well as the Geldenhuys Coalition in early January this year, more than 200 people were injured. That was also the same thing, manual authorization. You rarely have coalitions where you've got signals involved, when signals are working, but 60% of South Africa's signals are malfunctioning.
What about your workers? Tell me about how this impacts them.
They're riding in deaf machines, and it's a ticking time bomb. We've warned PRASA and the railway safety regulator on Friday last week that this is a ticking time bomb, and it's just a question of time before more lives will be lost. They did not listen. 5 days later, there's another 2 trains colliding, and it's another 112 commuters injured.
Malungelo, it doesn't get more ominous than those words. They are riding in death machines, and it's a ticking time bomb. This suggests that the unions believe that the issues go beyond, the incident and the signaling system that was being used on the day, but points to systemic issues at PRASA and Metrorail.
That's right. In fact, the unions are saying that when PRASA and Metrorail keep on saying that, oh, it's human error and it's cables, they're failing to address the real problems that are facing this company. Let's take a listen at what Satao had to say to me earlier, about this particular issue as well.
Firstly, we're very upset. Whenever there's a train collision, PRASA says it's human error. First off the bat, they say it's human error. And that is problematic, because what they're doing is they're zoning in on human error, and then they're neglecting to look at the other factors that could be playing a part. So I've been speaking to people at PRASA today, and what they're saying is there's a lot that's happening. For one, the infrastructure, we all know that the infrastructure at PRASA is really aging, and it needs to be modernized as soon as possible. So now it's encouraging that they've said that they have started with the signaling, but something else now has appeared, which says that the human resources, you'll know that when the rail safety regulator gave them the safety permit this time for a year, they said to them, you also have to fill those critical vacancies. So it's emerged that those critical vacancies include supervisors. So whenever there's no signaling, there's no digital signaling, and it's manually authorizing, they're supposed to have a lot more people actually looking at this, because as you can imagine, a shift is like from 6 to 6, it's 12 hours. One cannot be focused for that long.
So that's the process of dissecting the various elements that are at play. And indeed, this is not the first incident to take place involving rail transportation, passenger rail transportation. What is the ministry saying? What is government saying?
In fact, last night, the acting Transport Minister, Thulas Nxesi, issued a statement, Thulas, calling on an investigation to be done and to be expedited so that they can get to the bottom of this, saying that those that are responsible, people found to have been negligent in their task here, must be brought to task. It's interesting what the unions are saying. They're also raising the issue of human resource. And this is something apparently that also came up last week when these unions, when the rail safety regulator was issuing PRASA with the statement, with a safety certificate. This came up. They were told to make sure that they fill in all the positions that are needed in order to make sure that they prevent incidents like this. Of course, unions are saying that we're seeing these problems at PRASA with the rail system because there's also a problem with human resources.
Yeah, and of course, not to mention the situation as it's playing itself out in the Western Cape and the investigation that has now been announced by the public protector. What has PRASA said today? Have they said anything about the investigation? Of course, in situations like these, there's always two investigations by PRASA itself, but also by the rail safety regulator.
Well, I spoke to Lillian Mufugang over the phone, text messages, and I was asking her to start to comment on what some of these unions are saying, that, and then she said she wouldn't want to have that tit for tat with unions in a platform like this in public. But of course, they had said yesterday that an investigation will take place as a matter of urgency because they want to get to the bottom of this. And of course, they indicated to me yesterday that they cannot rule out the possibility of human error. That's what the unions are angry about.
Such a critical issue, Malungelo, especially in as far as the movement of people and the daily commute of many people in cities like Johannesburg and Cape Town. Thank you so much for coming through with that update. ENCA's Malungelo Boy updating us about the situation at PRASA following that train crash yesterday.